Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home. Welcome to Messy Kitchen Monday. It's mid-October. We're right exactly at the halfway point, which means we are exactly 5 weeks away from Thanksgiving. So I figured what we would do is we would kind of merge our casserole Messy Kitchen Mondays, Messy Kitschy, that's pretty good, Messy Kitchen Mondays with our highlights of casseroles. We could kind of move into the holiday season. And what this does, I know it seems sort of early, y'all, and I'm not skipping Halloween like all these department stores are, I promise, but that gives us time to plan and prepare. And if you're like me, you need that time because we do different things for Thanksgiving than we do for Christmas. At Christmas, we do kind of like a finger food potluck. So I always like to try little neat, fancy finger foods at Christmas. And Thanksgiving, we keep it more traditional. I think we're going to change things up this year, though. I talked to my mom yesterday. And I think we're going to actually do kind of what we do at Christmas at Thanksgiving, or maybe have a Thanksgiving brunch. And we'll still have turkey and we'll still have dressing. We just may have it just a little bit different. But we're going to highlight a casserole this week and kind of a casserole next week that are more holiday themed, which means they're a little more indulgent. And if you don't indulge at the holidays, then I don't know when is any other time that would be better to indulge is at the holidays. But you want to find that balance like we always talk about. So tonight we are embarking on Holiday Food Fest. And just a little bit of backstory about this recipe if you're just joining us tonight. Or if you're just joining us, we are cooking a pineapple cheese casserole. Now, I know that doesn't sound very appealing, but it is very good. It mixes the sweet and the savory, and then, of course, you add cheese, and it just turns it into something beautiful. This recipe, actually, I learned from a very good friend of mine, Elena Diarsprit. We went to eat like a large family gathering. We went to eat with her, and she actually in the kitchen had me helping her and showed me how to make this. And I've been making it every year for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, and it's a huge hit. My dad absolutely loves it. He always asks if I'm gonna make sure to have that pineapple stuff. He's a big fan. We also have some extended family friends. I include those into extended family because they usually come and eat Thanksgiving with us too. Tyler, I know I talked about him last week. This is his absolute favorite thing in the world. And he actually sent my husband a package last week, and written on the side it had that he needed a pineapple casserole on a certain date. So tonight, I've got one made already, but the one that I put together tonight, I'm actually going to freeze it and make it for him in a couple of weeks, cook it for him for whatever he needs it for. But I have a standing order that if I see him, I have to have him one of these made. He's a sucker for it for sure. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and get started with our kickoff for Holiday Food Fest with Pineapple Cheese Casserole. Now, again, this recipe is kind of like a dump and go recipe. So it doesn't take a lot of prep work. You use canned chunk pineapple, you use flour, sugar, Ritz crackers, butter, and that's pretty much it. It's really easy, but oh gosh, y'all, it's so good. And it has that savory and sweet all together, and it's absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to move the camera where you can see what I'm doing. So just bear with me. All right. So now you'll see I have a pan here, and this is, a giveaway pan, so I'm using that for him. And then I'm just going to take a little cooking spray And I'm gonna lightly spray the pan and the pan edges. And this calls for 2 14, 15 ounce cans of chunk pineapple, and we drain those. So I have those here, and we're just gonna put those in the pan. And then let me get a spoon. And we're just gonna kind of spread those out. In a single layer. As best we can anyway. All right, and then now we have 1 cup of sugar and 5 tablespoons of plain flour. So you just want to mix those up, and I'm just using a whisk to kind of sift it. Y'all know I use a whisk as a sifter. So we're just going to kind of sift it together to combine. Again, this is Pineapple Cheese Casserole if you're just joining. And we have 2 cans of chunk pineapple drained in our lightly greased pan. And we have a cup of sugar and 5 tablespoons of plain flour. All right, so I think that's mixed up pretty good. So now you're just gonna take this and you're just gonna sprinkle it over the top. And y'all know it's a messy kitchen, so you know I'm probably gonna make a mess. I'm really trying really hard not to. But you just wanna make sure that your edges are good and covered. And then I always take it and just kind of shake it up so that it'll kind of settle down in there. And what the sugar and flour does is the sugar takes the natural juice of the pineapple and it turns it into almost a syrup. And the flour actually takes that syrup and it thickens it so that it creates a even thicker syrup in here. I'm sorry, Tanner was trying to do something with my camera. I didn't mean to have that awkward silence. Hang on, we're gonna stand by for, okay. You know it's live when we have to make adjustments.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. So if you're just joining us, we're making pineapple cheese casserole. And I have 2 cans of drained chunk pineapple in a lightly greased pan. And then I just mixed up a cup of sugar with 5 tablespoons of plain flour. And again, what that does is the sugar, it mixes with the natural juices of the pineapple and it makes a syrup, almost like a really thick syrup. And the flour actually helps that along to thicken and make it bind it together. So now at this point we have a cup and a half of, and I didn't get it out, sorry. We have a cup and a half of grated sharp cheddar cheese, and we're just gonna take this and we're gonna sprinkle it on the top.
This is not food related, but James Tucker asked where your camera crew was.
My camera crew is kind of spread out through the house, James.
I told him we got fired.
They got fired. They were replaced by a tripod, which works a little bit better. We've done like the last few of these that way. All right. So I'm sure that if Danny were in here, he would say that that is not enough cheese, but I promise you it is, because that's what the recipe calls for. I'll put it to you this way. When Danny grates cheese, he helps me in the kitchen a lot. And one of the things that he likes to do is he likes to grate cheese. Well, I'll tell him I need about a cup of grated cheese, and I will have a mound this big. No lie, he'll do me about 2.5 cups whenever I need a cup. And then he'll tell me that I need to use all of it. But nonetheless, this is about 1.5 cups, true to recipe, of grated cheese on top of the pineapple and the sugar and flour mixture. So the next thing that it calls for is these butter crackers or Ritz crackers. Now, you know, any good casserole in the South is topped with Ritz crackers. So they need to be crushed. And for years, I would take this sleeve. It calls for one whole sleeve. For years, I would take this sleeve and I would put it in a Ziploc bag, and I would take my rolling pin and I'd pound them out to crush them and all that good stuff. But a very good friend of mine said, you know, you're wasting a zip top bag for that. You don't need to do that. So this is what we do. We just take about a little bit at a time. And you know, if you like to cook, you're not afraid of getting your hands dirty. And these things, they crush so easy. So you can just take your thumbs and hands and crush them. And in the time it would take me to get a zip top bag out and open it, I have it topped. So there you go. If you're willing to get your hands dirty and clean them up just a little bit, then you're good to go, and you didn't waste a zip top bag for that. So the next thing we have is we have a cup, not a cup, a half a cup of melted butter. This is a whole stick, which equals half a cup of melted butter. And you're just gonna take this and you're just gonna drizzle it. I like to make sure my edges are covered first. And then you're gonna take it and you're gonna drizzle it over the top. Now what all the butter's function is just to brown those Ritz crackers. No more. They don't do anything else, but they just turn that a real pretty golden color. So there it is. That's all it is. Now all you have to do is place it in a 350-degree preheated oven for 20 to 25 minutes until it's bubbly and the top is brown. That's the beautiful thing about casseroles, is that a lot of them, you can do your prep work early and you can have them ready. For instance, when I make this at Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'll go ahead and mix it up and leave everything off of it except for the butter. The last thing I do is drizzle it with the butter, and then I pop it in the oven and you're done. So around Thanksgiving and Christmas, my refrigerator will be full of pans that have not been cooked. Or this is even good, if you wanted to go ahead and cook it, then that way all you have to do is just heat it up just a little bit, and that saves a little energy using your oven as well. So now I'm going to show you the finished product. And here it is. Can you see it good, Tanner?
Yeah, there's a lag.
Here's the finished product.
It looks like you can. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to get a plate. I should have done all this. But we live and we learn. Oh. She's not ready. And then we're just gonna scoop this out. And I just mainly want to show you the consistency of the syrup that it makes. See, it's really just a thick syrup. And it almost makes it like a cobbler. It's almost the same consistency as that of like a peach cobbler, but this is so much more. This is pineapple sweet and cheese and crackers savory. And the salt that's in the crackers mixes with all the sweet stuff, and it's perfect balance. So this is Pineapple Cheese Casserole. And as usual, I will post the actual recipe card for this tomorrow morning. So y'all be looking for that. And be sure and put this on your list.
Stacy asked if it was fresh or canned pineapple.
It's canned pineapple. It's 2 14.5, 15-ounce cans of chunk pineapple drained. So, and I'll go over the recipe again here in just a few minutes, since some new people may be joining us. But you have the pineapple cheese casserole, and it is the perfect balance of sweet and savory, and it is probably the sweet potato casserole's best friend on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now, I have a kid who does not like pineapple. I don't know where she gets that from. She's weird.
It's gross.
Anyhow, so she doesn't this is not her favorite thing, but she is one out of like 15 people who come here for Thanksgiving who do not eat it. And that's fine. We all joke on her and tell her that means there's more for us.
And y'all can have it all.
So, again, Pineapple Cheese Casserole for our Holiday Food Fest kickoff is simply 2 cans of drained chunk pineapple in a slightly greased pan, and a cup of sugar that has been mixed with 5 tablespoons of plain flour, and you sprinkle that over the top, and then you top it with about 1.5 cups of grated sharp cheddar cheese, and then of course a sleeve of Ritz crackers, and a 1/2 cup or 1 stick of melted butter. You cook it for about 20 to 25 minutes depending on your oven at 350 degrees. And y'all, I promise if you like the sweet with the savory, it'll be one of the best things you've ever eaten. We have a restaurant local, Red's Schoolhouse, who serves apples and cheese, and it's very, very good. And this is a lot like that, except the pineapple, when it cooks, it has a different texture. So the apples tend to kind of cook down and get soft, whereas the pineapple doesn't. So you have a little more texture going on if you like that texture in your food. So I urge you to try this. I'll post the recipe for you tomorrow. And as normal, we try to keep this under 20 minutes. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or send me a private message and I'll get right back to you. I'm really excited. There were several people that I got messages or posts from that tried the breakfast casserole last week. So I'm happy that people have added that recipe to their repertoire. And I'm sure I said that wrong, but it sounded good. It rolled off the tongue real easy, but it was probably wrong. So anyhow, I just wanted to thank you all for being with me tonight and every Monday night. I know 8 o'clock is late for some people, but 8 o'clock works good for me because I come home and I cook and then I cook again. So 8 o'clock is like the perfect time for me, and with having a day job, anybody who does that, or anybody who's a stay-at-home mom and has to get kids done with homework and ready for bed knows that 8 o'clock is kind of your time. So we appreciate all of you who are sharing your downtime with us on Monday nights. Again, be sure and visit our website. We have a neat little recipe that's being posted tomorrow for pinkies. And if you didn't see my graphic from the other day, they are strawberry brownies, but Reagan calls them pinkies. And they are very good, and they are really, really nice to have, and they're so easy. It's a big cheater recipe. Now, y'all know I love scratch-made food, but I like easy stuff too. So, you know, anything that we post, we try to make it easy and flavorful, but then we also try to balance that with teaching you methods of scratch-made cooking as well. It's just like eating no carbs and some carbs. You have to find that balance. So you find things that you like and that your family likes, and if they're easy to make, then that is all the more reason for you to get in the kitchen together. And if you have smaller kids, recipes like for these pinkies are easy for kids to make too. So that'll be out on the blog tomorrow. So check back often at www.thebutteredhome.com and check us out. We've got some good grocery store tips coming up on Wednesday night at 5:30 Central Time. So be here with us for that as well. And we thank y'all again, and y'all have a great Monday night and an even better Tuesday. Bye.